The alcohol use disorder identification test, or otherwise known as the audit, is just a quick way for you to determine whether or not you have any problems with alcohol. So today we're going to be talking about alcohol use, and it's really useful for people to have an opportunity to do a self-assessment. This is just a private way of getting some feedback about the level of use and the consequences surrounding that use. So you're going to complete an alcohol use disorder identification test. And like I said, it's just a very short questionnaire that's often used to provide information about someone's drinking. So you're going to pick one answer for each question about your use of alcohol over the last 12 months. One drink is equal to 1 can of beer, or 1 glass of wine, or a bottle of beer, 1 shot of liquor, 1 mixed drink, one glass of wine, so on and so forth. So a 12-ounce can of beer is 1 can. So if you're drinking a tall boy that's 24 ounces, that's actually 2 beers. Or if you're having one that's like 16 ounces, that's 1.5 beers. If you're having a Long Island iced tea, depending on who's pouring, you may have 2.5 shots to 3 shots in that one drink, and that would equal 3 standard drinks. So make sure that you're using this chart here to determine how many drinks you've actually had. The first question is, in the past 3 months, how often did you have a drink containing alcohol? So your answer choices are going to be never, monthly or less, 2 to 4 times a month, 2 to 3 times a week, or 4 or more times throughout the week. Question 2, in the past 3 months, how many drinks containing alcohol did you typically have on a typical day when drinking? Your answer choices are going to be 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 9, 10 or more. Question 3, in the last 3 months, how often did you have 6 or more drinks on any one occasion? And remember, we're using standard drinks here. So your answer choices are never, less than monthly, monthly, weekly, daily, or almost daily. Question 4, how often during the last year have you found that you were not able to stop drinking once you had started? Your answer choices are never, less than monthly, monthly, weekly, or daily, or almost daily. Question 5, how often during the last year have you failed to do what was normally expected of you because of your drinking? Did you forget to take out the trash? Did you not go to your kid's ball game? Did you not go to work, etc.? So your answer choices are going to be never, less than monthly, monthly, weekly, daily, or almost daily. Question 6, how often during the last year have you needed a drink first thing in the morning to get yourself going after a heavy drinking session? Your answer choices are never, less than monthly, monthly, weekly, daily, or almost daily. Question 7, how often during the last year have you had a feeling of guilt or remorse after drinking? Your answer choices are never, less than monthly, monthly, weekly, daily, or almost daily. Question number 8, how often during the last year have you been unable to remember what happened the night before because you had been drinking? Your answer choices are never, less than monthly, monthly, weekly, daily, or almost daily. For question 9, have you or someone else been injured as a result of your drinking? Your answer choices are no, yes, but not in the last year, or yes during the last year. For question number 10, has a relative or a friend or a doctor or any other healthcare worker been concerned about your drinking or suggested that you cut down? If you've had a substance abuse evaluation and they've recommended treatment, then that is someone suggesting that you may have a problem. So your answer choices are going to be no, yes, but not in the last year, or yes during the last year. And scoring the audit, for question number 1, if you wrote never, it's a 0. Monthly or less is a 1. 2 to 4 times a month is a 2. 2 to 3 times a week is a 3. And 4 or more times a week is a 4. You're going to write that answer or that number out next to your answer. For question 2, if you wrote down 1 to 2, your score would be a 0. 3 to 4 is a 1. 5 to 6 would score a 2. 7 to 9 scores a 3. And 10 or more scores a 4. For questions 3 through 8, if you wrote never, it's a 0. Less than monthly is a 1. Monthly is a 2. Weekly is a 3. And daily or almost daily is a 4. For questions 9 and 10, no would be 0. Yes, but not in the last year would be a 2. And yes, during the last year would be a 4. So you're going to write the number that corresponds to your answer for each question and then add each of your scores up to get a total number. Once you have your total, then we can now correspond that to the answer. So the audit is often used as a way of learning important information about drinking in a short time period. So by asking the questions about the amount of drinking in the last year and about the things that sometimes happen when people begin drinking heavily, the audit can help you find out if your drinking is reaching a dangerous level. So to look at what the scores mean, if you scored between a 1 and a 7, a score in this range is going to indicate that your drinking hasn't reached a dangerous level yet. So maybe you have a few drinks each week, but your drinking hasn't begun to cause trouble with other people in your life. So if you have a score towards the higher end of this, like a 6 or a 7, you may want to start paying more attention to how much you're drinking and how this may be affecting the other people in your life. If you scored between an 8 and a 20, a score in this range indicates that your drinking has now reached a harmful and hazardous level. You may be drinking every day, having blackouts where you can't remember the night before, maybe feeling guilt or remorse after you're drinking. And once you start drinking, it may be difficult for you to stop. And you may be having trouble following through on your responsibilities because of your drinking. You may have even hurt someone in your life as a result of your drinking. And notice I'm saying you may have. This doesn't necessarily mean that you have, but it might have happened. And if you score between a 21 and a 40, a score in this range indicates that your drinking has now reached a very dangerous level. Almost all of the questions on the audit probably sound very familiar to you. There may be days when you can't even get out of bed because of your drinking, and you may have trouble thinking about anything else. You might be experiencing a lot of physical problems as a result of your heavy drinking. So these scores can be helpful in pointing out how much alcohol you're currently using and maybe some possible consequences that might occur as a result if you continue your drinking. And people with high scores on the audit are often at risk for physical complications as a result of their drinking. So in the chat box below, I would like for you to put whether you agree with your score. And if not, why do you not agree with the score? Or what did you realize as you were looking at your score?